Yo, welcome back to the charts, guys. Okay, in this video, I'm going to be talking about AMC and GameStop, and their correlation here and why it's important to track this correlation, guys. I think it's pretty good news. I think for AMC specifically in the mid to long term. So we're going to be taking a look at the ROC indicator, the rate of change, and this is going to tell us a little bit about how the cycle is pumping and dumping these stocks, right? These meme stocks. Okay, but before I start, man, make sure you guys smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell. When I post videos and go live, you get that notification, you hop on in here and chill with the fam, all right? Okay, cool. Let's get started. All right, so ROC, rate of change. This is going to measure the percent change a stock moves. In this case, we have AMC in red, GameStop in green. Okay, the parameter I'm using is 50, so it's going to smooth things out a little bit more for us. And we need to pay attention to the percent return that we have inside that time window. Okay, so in this case, right, for AMC, on average in that little window, we rose about 130%. Right, compared to GME, 350%. Now, why is this relevant? Okay, this is relevant because in cycles, we need to look at reference patterns. We need to look at where else in the cycle we have a similar match. A lot of the videos that you look at in this specific channel, we're looking at pattern. We have the pattern recognition tool, Platzi, and then we look at market sectors and how pretty much they trade against each other, right? We have a curve, we have another curve, and we have another curve. And all these are different sectors, pretty much. The theory here is that market sectors will pump, they'll dump liquidity into the next sector, and so on, right? It's just rinse and repeat back and forth. But inside these market sectors, including this one specifically, which is the meme sector, we have smaller algorithms, right, that pump and dump. And for AMC, we saw the same setup that I think is going to play out here. We have GME pumping way more, right? GME pumping way more than AMC in early January 2021. All right, and it was a series of pumps before it squeezed. Okay, as soon as it dumped back down, okay, we consolidated for a little bit, right? The same thing we're expecting AMC to do right now. Whether it comes back up to the $8 or $12 range, we're expecting it to consolidate, to trade pretty much up on that resistance level, back down for a little bit, and then to see that continuation in what we narrow to be this POI, a point of interest. So with this point of interest that's coming up, what happens here, right? If we overlay the two, and this is why I'm using this indicator, guys, I don't like to look at the price here that much. Clearly, AMC was the winner in June 2021. I mean, AMC went up, I believe, almost 1,000% on that pump, and GME didn't go up that much. It was trading post split here, right? It was trading at 43, goes all the way up to 80, so about 100%. Nowhere near the same returns that AMC had. But you have to look at this because market makers, right, when they're making these options, okay, they can't just pump everything. They can't just allow everything to go up the same percentage. They have to leverage each on the micro charts, right? They have to leverage both stocks with each other. And this is why, a few days before we started to pump here, well, GME was already doing its thing. It was going up higher back here in March, right? And then even in December of 2023, we saw a little pump. So AMC was still trading down. The two were not in the same cycle. They were still trading almost against each other for quite some time. And this is relevant to the coming cycle because if the trajectory is now pointing up, that means that we're exiting this macro bearish cycle, right? We have the phases here. We have everything laid out. If this is truly a bullish macro cycle, that means that we are ready to pump and see new highs or new short-term highs on AMC, at least for a little while, until everything starts correcting itself. But it's important to track this, guys, because I mean we've seen this correlation before. This is nothing new. Meme stocks do trend and trail with each other on the way up and on the way down. But when there's heavy volatility, like we have experienced here in the last couple of weeks, inside that cycle, you're gonna see them almost slightly trade against each other on a very short scale. So to this cycle again, we have GME pumping way higher. Okay, both consolidate at the same time, and then AMC starts to go on its macro cycle. So this is why, guys, I believe AMC has still a lot of room to go. Also, if you take a look at, so let's change this parameter here a little bit. Bars to compare, so it's 10, not 50. So I messed up on that. It is 10. And we're going to be smoothing it out a little bit more. So I want to see what's going on the macro, right? See how much both have, pumped here and dumped. And clearly GME is still the winner. If you look at the 200, every 250 bars, which is, I'm on the daily chart here, you're going to see that regardless of that, GME has pumped way more than AMC. Like, it's not even comparable. And even up till now, AMC is still quite below the average. I mean, we're sitting at almost at the threshold mark, which is 0, and GME is still up about 100%. So it's still up higher than AMC. And this begs the question, right? Is AMC just slacking behind, or is AMC priming up to come back into that same range and go even higher? And that's the whole thing with it. It's tracking which one is ultimately going to be the winner here. I mean, essentially, if we're on a macro bullish cycle, they're both going to be pumping, right? But they're going to be slightly tracking against each other on the micro chart. So if we're smoothing out this curve, you're going to see them both go up at the same time. But if they're tracking, if we refine that search a little bit, and we're using a different parameter like, 5 or even lower, we can do 2. And this is on the daily, right? You got to go on the micro. So on the hourly. Find it a little bit more. Okay, you're going to see some of these, pumps and dumps here that don't line up quite the same. Like, you could see both charts look very similar, but some of these do not line up the same way. For example, here on the first pump, we're finding that parameter. We see that GME pumps first, May 13th, while AMC is just trading at that 50% range. And on that second day, right, we see AMC pump a little bit higher. Okay, so the two will not trade exactly the same way, when we look at the percentage, and that's very important when it comes to these market makers, opening these options and leveraging those options, right? They can't just pump everything the same. So I mean, I think this is a big puzzle, or a big piece to this macro puzzle that we're tracking here. And we're going to find out very soon what's going to happen. But basically, everything's still tracking as far as the cycle goes in the short term. A few things I will say about the cycle, right? So right now, this is what we're tracking for the cycle. And this is just telling us the direction that it's going to take. A lot of these are going to be flat, or they're going to be, tracking the same way as the cycle. The structure right now is very similar. Most of the patterns that we're calling for or tracking right now, reference patterns, are calling for upside, but we still have to track, AMC's chart in terms of the cycle slowing down or speeding things up, right? And if it's going to slow things down, then we have to start tracking other patterns. We have to start tracking other possibilities here, okay? So going back to the whole, the pattern tracker and what it found, there was one cryptocurrency that I was actually pretty impressed with. And let's see if I can pull it up here. It's not it. That's AMC. Fractals. It was Beam. So Beam USD is the other one here that it found. And this is the pattern scanner. The pattern scanner Plotzy. Okay, so this one, being that it's a cryptocurrency, it also falls, very similar to AMC. It also has the same distribution pattern, right? Distribution patterns, usually they're going to mimic, and they're going to, it's going to be a variation, right, of that distribution pattern. In this case, we have the same thing. Declines for a little while, it almost looks like a wedge, and then it breaks out. This one breaks out a lot earlier, and it descends for a little bit more time, but essentially the timing here is what we're tracking, and we're also tracking the levels. Okay, so all of these guys, again, they're calling for upside. This is not something that has not happened before. The people that say, like, oh, AMC's done, like, it can't squeeze anymore. I mean, other stocks and other cryptocurrencies are doing this and have done this before, so why can't that be the case? You have to look at everything when it comes down to these squeeze plays. And yes, it has been a long, long ride on the way down for AMC. But at some point, if the fundamentals are right and everything looks good for AMC, there's no reason why it should be trading at this range. And with its potential, knowing, the meme community and just the AMC and GME community in general, those are all also very good things for a stock. So with all that in play, macro cycles, what we've tracked in the past before with Carvana and some of these other things with the market, option expiration dates, stuff like that, everything still points up, man, right now. So I will say, worst case scenario on AMC, we'll get to the worst case scenario if the price starts to fall below $3, but right now it's not doing that, right? We're still tracking and we're following all the technicals, man, even this just very basic stuff, trend lines, we're still respecting support. And here, being a short week, also things expire, right? Options expire on a short week. Typically do see some volatility on AMC, so that'll be interesting to see and watch here soon. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video, man. If you guys want more of this content, you want to play with the pattern scanner, it is on the Discord, so click the link below if you want to head on in there. Yeah, a little bit of how it works, man. I pull up, this thing every single video here, but yeah, this is the pattern scanner, man. You got your low parameters, your interval. We're using the hourly here for Paramount. 100 is scanning in progress. Takes about 50 seconds, and then boom, you got your matches. And now I've updated it to have projections as well. So the projections are based off of the historical bars of the match ticker. So anything that happens after the match, it's just going to give you the extra bars for that. So check that out, guys, if you would like to play around with it. But yeah, other than that, man, that's what I got for you guys today. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye-bye.